The boarding school stood in the middle of a vast savanna, surrounded by miles of dry grassland and acacia trees. The only signs of civilization were the narrow dirt road that led to the school gates and the occasional village hut seen in the distance. The school was prestigious and known for its strict discipline. Parents sent their daughters here to ensure they grew into disciplined, educated women. Amina arrived at St. Lydia's girls' boarding school on a hot January afternoon. She was 14, with a mix of excitement and anxiety bubbling within her as she stepped out of her father's old pickup truck. The red bricks of the dormitories and the tall iron gates loomed before her, promising new experiences, but also a certain unfamiliarity that made her uneasy. The school was run by a stern headmistress named Ms. Wanjiku, a woman who carried an aura of authority that silenced even the noisiest girls in an instant. Amina was shown to her dormitory, Dorm B, by a cheerful prefect named Esther. The building was long, with rows of bunk beds crammed into every corner. The air smelled faintly of chalk dust and soap. As Amina unpacked her trunk, she noticed the other girls staring at her, whispering among themselves. She brushed it off as normal curiosity about the new student, but there was something in their expressions, a mix of pity and discomfort, that unsettled her. That night, as the girls prepared for bed, Amina tried to strike up a conversation with Mary, the girl assigned to the bunk above hers. "This place is so big," Amina said with a smile. "Do you ever get lost?" Mary hesitated, glancing around as if checking who might overhear them. Then she whispered, "You're in Dorm B, right? Did they tell you about the curse?" Amina frowned. "Curse? What do you mean?" Before Mary could explain, the dorm matron walked in, clapping her hands for lights out. Mary climbed up to her bunk without another word, leaving Amina with a sense of unease. The next few days passed without incident, but Amina couldn't shake the strange tension in the dormitory. The girls in Dorm B seemed quieter than those in other dorms, and whenever the topic of the dorm came up, they quickly changed the subject. Amina overheard snippets of conversation, mentions of someone named Mercy, of strange noises at night, and of something that happened last term. One night, Amina was jolted awake by a faint whisper. At first, she thought it was one of the girls talking in her sleep. But as she listened, the whispers grew clearer. They seemed to be coming from the far corner of the dorm, where the older girls slept. "Did you hear that?" Amina whispered to Mary. Mary didn't respond. She lay stiffly in her bunk, her eyes squeezed shut. Amina felt a chill crawl up her spine. The whispering continued, low and urgent, until it suddenly stopped. The dorm was silent again, but Amina couldn't sleep for the rest of the night. The next morning, Amina noticed something strange. One of the senior girls, Grace, looked pale and weak, as if she hadn't slept in days. When Amina asked Esther about it, Esther simply shrugged. "It happens sometimes," she said cryptically. Over the next week, more strange things happened. Amina found a small piece of paper tucked under her pillow with the words, "Do not trust them," scrawled in shaky handwriting. The dorm lights flickered unpredictably, and a strange smell, a mix of dampness and something metallic, seemed to linger in the air. Determined to get to the bottom of it, Amina decided to investigate. She convinced Mary and another girl, Janet, to help her. Late one evening, while the other girls were at evening prayers, they sneaked into the far corner of the dorm where the whispers had come from. Behind one of the bunks, they found a loose floorboard. Beneath it was a dusty old diary. The name Mercy was written on the first page. The entries were short and scattered, but they painted a haunting picture. Mercy had been a student in Dorm B years ago. She wrote about hearing whispers, about strange dreams, and about feeling watched. The last entry read, "I cannot take it anymore. If they won't believe me, I'll leave." Amina shivered as she closed the diary. "What happened to her?" she asked. "No one knows," Janet whispered. "Some say she ran away. Others say she didn't." That night, the whispers returned. This time, they were louder, almost angry. Amina sat up in her bed, her heart pounding.
"Who's there?" she called out.
The whispers stopped abruptly. The dorm was eerily quiet. Then, from the far corner, Amina saw a shadow move. She froze, her breath catching in her throat. The shadow seemed to linger for a moment before disappearing into the darkness. The next morning, Amina confronted Esther.
"You know something about this," she said.
"What's going on in this dorm?" Esther hesitated before finally sighing. "There's no curse," she admitted. "But there's something we've been keeping secret. It's for our safety." Esther explained that Mercy had been bullied by some of the senior girls. The whispers, the strange occurrences, they were all part of an elaborate prank to scare Mercy. But the prank had gone too far, and one night, Mercy had vanished. The seniors had panicked and covered up what they'd done, spreading rumors about a curse to keep others from digging too deeply. Amina felt a mix of anger and sadness. The so-called curse was nothing more than a cruel game that had spiraled out of control. That night, she gathered the girls of Dorm B and told them the truth. "There's no curse," she said. "But there is a story we need to remember. Mercy deserved better, and we can't let fear or silence hurt anyone else." The dormitory was quiet for a long moment. Then, one by one, the girls nodded. The whispers never returned after that night, but Amina knew the memory of Mercy would linger, a reminder of how easily fear and cruelty could take root if left unchecked.